A few feet away, the girl lay motionless, a knife clutched in her hand. I'm a retired police officer, served in a small town where the worst I had to deal with was the occasional bar fight or a drunk driver wrapping their car around a pole. Everyone knew each other, and in all my years on the force, I never even had to fire my weapon until that night. It was raining and my shift was about to end. I was tired, hungry, and eager to go home when the call came in. Reports of gunshots and screaming. Of course, it had to be in the worst part of town, the rundown apartment complex where we'd arrested half the tenants at one point or another. I sighed, turned on the sirens, and drove through the empty streets, the rain hammering against my windshield. As I pulled up, I saw something that made my stomach drop. A young girl, no older than 14, sitting on the sidewalk, covered in blood, a gun loosely held in her trembling hands. She was sobbing, staring at nothing. My partner and I shouted for her to drop the weapon. She didn't raise it, didn't threaten us, just kept crying. I cautiously approached and managed to take the gun from her hands without resistance. I left her with my partner and called for an ambulance before heading inside. I still wish I hadn't. The stench hit me first, coppery, thick, suffocating. Blood was everywhere, smeared on the walls in shapes I couldn't comprehend. Pentagrams, strange symbols, candles burned down to nubs. And in the middle of the room sat a man, bleeding from a gunshot wound, laughing, not just chuckling, deep, guttural, hysterical laughter that made my skin crawl. I aimed my gun at him. "Get on the ground, hands where I can see them." He looked up, eyes wild, a grin splitting his face. "I did it," he whispered. "I brought it here." Then he lunged at me. I fired. He dropped. But that laughter, it didn't stop. I took a shaky breath and reached for the light switch. The room was dim, but when the full brightness hit, I saw what had been hidden in the shadows. 3 bodies lay on a table, all of them mutilated, their faces twisted in agony, ritualistic carvings covering their skin. My stomach turned, and I had to fight to keep from losing my dinner right there. I was reaching for my radio when I heard more gunshots outside. I rushed out to find my partner on the ground, blood pooling around his neck. He was pressing a hand to the wound, struggling to breathe. A few feet away, the girl lay motionless, a knife clutched in her hand. Through gritted teeth, my partner rasped. She snapped, came at me with a knife, had to shoot. I dropped to my knees, pressing down on his wound, calling for backup and another ambulance. I kept pressure on it until help arrived, and somehow he pulled through. The investigation uncovered a nightmare. The girl had been kidnapped by a cult. 4 members, all tenants of that building. They had been torturing and sacrificing people for months, right under the noses of their neighbors. No one noticed, no one cared. And that night was supposed to be their grand finale. I still don't know what the man meant when he said he brought it here. I don't want to know. I've been retired for years, but that night still follows me. I see the symbols in my dreams. I hear that laughter in the dark. I wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding like I'm still standing in that room, gun drawn, staring into the abyss. Some cases never leave you. This one haunts me.
As a police dispatcher, I'm used to strange calls. People panic, they ramble, sometimes the line is filled with static, but nothing ever prepared me for what happened that night. It started with a call I should have never received. The line crackled with heavy static, barely audible at first. Then I heard a voice that made my blood run cold. "Stay calm. Be careful with the next one." It was my grandfather's voice. The same grandfather who had passed away over 10 years ago. Before I could react, the line cut off. I stared at my screen, heart pounding. No number, no trace of the call. Just gone. Then another call came in. This time it was real. A man was sobbing on the other end. His breathing was ragged, his words frantic but clear. He had just shot his girlfriend and the man she was cheating on him with. and now he was going to take his own life. I had no time to process what I had just heard. My job was to keep him talking, keep him on the line, and get the officers to his location before it was too late. Sir, I need you to stay with me. What's your name? It doesn't matter, he said between heavy breaths. They're dead. There's no fixing this. I have one bullet left. I understand you're hurting, but you called me. That means some part of you doesn't want this to be the end. I don't know why I called. I don't want to die alone. You're not alone. I'm here. I'll stay with you. Just tell me where you are so I can send someone to talk to you in person. No cops. If I see lights, I pull the trigger. No cops, I promise. Just tell me where you are so I can listen to you properly, not over the phone. Silence. Warehouse. The old one, near the river. That was all I needed. I know the place. Stay with me, all right? Talk to me. Do you have family? Friends? Not anymore. That's not true. You called me. Someone out there cares, even if you don't see it right now. He broke down crying. I kept him on the line for what felt like an eternity, telling him things would be okay, that he wasn't alone. Then I heard it. Distant sirens. I had stalled long enough. The officers were closing in. There was a scuffle, a shout, and the line cut out. Later, I found out they got to him just in time. He had the gun to his head when they tackled him. I should have felt relief, and I did somewhat, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something beyond my understanding had warned me about this call. I still check my call logs to this day, searching for any trace of that first call, but it's like it never existed. I don't believe in ghosts, but I don't know how else to explain it.
This happened a week ago. I've been a cop for 3 years, and I'm still in shock. I don't believe in the supernatural, but I have no explanation for what I witnessed that night. We got a call about a disturbance in a neighborhood known for its practitioners of African spiritual religions. When we arrived, we found a man in a frenzy, wielding a machete and violently striking the front of a house. His eyes were wild, his body tense with aggression. We shouted for him to drop the weapon, but instead he charged at us. We had no choice. Once the threat was neutralized, we cautiously entered the house. The smell hit me first, metallic, rotten. Blood was everywhere, smeared across the walls and pooled on the floor. And then we saw her. An elderly woman, drenched in blood, barely standing. She moved with difficulty, her breath ragged. I rushed to support her, carefully guiding her outside as I called for an ambulance. She was mumbling something in a language I didn't understand, her voice hoarse, like she had been screaming for days. I gently laid her down on a bench to keep her still and waited for the medics. When the ambulance arrived, one of the paramedics rushed over, but the moment he touched her, he froze. His face paled. "We need to get her out of here now," he muttered. Confused, I asked what he meant. He wouldn't answer at first, just kept insisting they needed to leave immediately. I pressed him, demanding an explanation. Finally, he turned to me and whispered, "She's been dead for at least a week. She's already in rigor mortis." My blood ran cold. That didn't make sense. I had just helped her walk. She had looked me in the eyes. She had spoken. How could she be dead for a week? The paramedic wasn't messing with me. He was a professional, serious and methodical. He had nothing to gain from lying about this. If anything, this only made his job harder. I didn't care what he thought. I ordered him to transport her to the hospital anyway, threatening to arrest him if he refused. Reluctantly, he complied. My partner, who had been on the force much longer than me, pulled me aside as I stood there, still reeling. He patted my shoulder and said, "Take a few days off and get used to it. Sometimes we see things that don't make sense." Now I'm sitting in the station bathroom, locked inside, trying to calm myself down before I finish my shift and write my report. I don't believe in ghosts, but I have no idea what I saw that night.